Good morning. Here is today's word of blessings for you. Nehemiah 5:1-5. Now the men and their wives raised a great outcry against their fellow Jews. Some were saying, "We and our sons and daughters are numerous, in order for us to eat and stay alive, we must get grain." Others were saying, "We are mortgaging our fields, our vineyards and our homes to get grain during the famine." Still others were saying, "We have had to borrow money to pay the king's tax on our fields and vineyards. Although we are of the same flesh and blood as our fellow Jews and though our children are as good as theirs, yet we have to subject our sons and daughters to slavery. Some of our daughters have already been enslaved, but we are powerless, because our fields and our vineyards belong to others." Today's title is An Outcry from Inside. Many nations fell to the invasion of outside enemies. So every nation does its best to fight against foreign enemies. Many more nations fell from inside troubles. But not many nations are mindful of the potentially more harmful inherent troubles. Wise leaders pay great attention to the inside stability and unity before they mobilize their people against foreign enemies. Nehemiah faced many outside enemies who didn't like the wall of Jerusalem to be built again. They knew that rebuilding the wall of Jerusalem was tantamount to the rebuilding of the city and the nation which was extradited. Nehemiah was constantly struggling against the outside enemies who taunted, attacked, and plotted against him. It seemed as if his hands are fully tied to it. Then all of a sudden, his own people, the men, and their wives raised a series of outcries against their fellow Jews. Some were saying, "We and our sons and daughters are numerous, in order for us to eat and stay alive, we must get grain." Others were saying, "We are mortgaging our fields, our vineyards, and our homes to get grain during the famine." Still, others were saying, "We have had to borrow money to pay the king's tax on our fields and vineyards." These people were not only the fellow Jews but also the co-workers that Nehemiah have to work together to get all rebuilt. And they were now complaining about the lack of basic needs such as food and family needs as well as the injustice from the fellow Jews. What should he do? From my own experience as a spiritual leader, this type of inside trouble is often more devastating than outside attacks. These people were not only the fellow Jews that he needed to care for as a leader but also the co-workers that Nehemiah have to work together to get all rebuilt. Furthermore, such inside complaints are often outright expressions of distrust of the leader. Such complaints tend to have greater personal damages to the leader. A leader must address the issues more urgently than anything else and deal with it decisively. Nehemiah did it and resolved it. I believe this is why the book of Nehemiah is often considered a textbook of leadership. What kind of inside trouble do you have in your family or in your workplaces or in the church? How are you dealing with the issue? Without doing it right, we will not achieve the mission and task that God has assigned to us. Are you dealing with it wisely, lovingly, and decisively as Nehemiah?